What is up, everyone, and welcome back to the channel. Today we're gonna take a look at a back to basics motorcycle. It's made by the same company that makes the Maverick 500, the ADV bike, but it uses a lot of the parts from the Maverick, but it's completely stripped down to be a Scrambler style motorcycle. Mechanically it's almost identical, but as you can see, we have a lot less motorcycle, but also a lot less cost. So this thing comes at about 5,800 euros, so that's over 1,000 euros cheaper than the Maverick. But it still uses the same electronics with the same switchable ABS, the same parallel twin 471cc engine with 43 brake horsepower and 40 Newton meters of torque. The same Nissan brakes, we have Pirelli tires, we have KYB suspension, but a Scrambler style motorcycle. So, as we usually do, let's take a look at it from front wheel to back wheel and see what this thing is all about. Alright, starting off at the front, we see basically no kind of wind protection. There's no windscreen. This is the gauge cluster. We see a big round retro style headlight, but it's an LED headlight with LED turn signal indicators on the sides. We see a pretty beefy KYB front fork, inverted fork. Unlike the Maverick, this one is not adjustable for bump and rebound. It's the same style of fork, but without the adjustment. Honestly, I don't mind, because for this style of motorcycle, you're not going to be taking it very hard off-road, so you're not going to need to adjust the suspension quite that much. Moving on down, we have an 18-inch front wheel on a cast wheel, wrapped in a Pirelli tire, and dual rotors up front with dual piston calipers on each side. The brakes have been provided, just like on the Maverick, by Nissan. We do have front ABS, we do have rear ABS, and also we have switchable ABS, exactly like the Maverick, where we can turn off just the rear wheel or we can turn off the ABS completely. Moving around to the side, we can see our big 18-liter fuel tank. We can see our parallel twin engine. Like I've said, 43 brake horsepower and 40 Newton meters of torque, coupled to a 6-speed transmission. We do have a skid plate here. It's metal, just like on the Maverick, but it's quite a lot thinner, but still, it's a skid plate and it's there. We have our rider foot pegs, again with the possibility to turn them into off-road foot pegs just by removing the rubber, in case you want to ride without a rubber. And also the passenger foot pegs. The seat is nice and low, it is removable, there is a keyhole underneath. The rider sits pretty comfortably, the passenger kind of hangs off the side of the rear of the motorcycle, but that's what you get with a Scrambler style motorcycle. Further on back, we see our exhaust, really nicely styled exhaust, our 17-inch rear wheel, again wrapped in Pirelli rubber. And also we can see we have a single-sided swing arm, so it's pretty easy to take the wheel off, to change the tire, or to fix a flat. And a single rotor out back, again with the switchable ABS. And moving around to the rear of the motorcycle, there's very little I can say about the rear, but that's normal about a Scrambler style motorcycle. We have our LED light on the back, LED indicators, and our license plate holder on a sidearm, just like on most Scramblers or naked bikes. Not much back here, but what do you expect? It's not a touring bike, it's a Scrambler. In terms of dashboard, we have a pretty minimal dashboard. We have our kill switch here, our engine start here, fuel tank here, keyhole here, hazard lights, high and low beam, turn signal indicators, horn, and passing light. Information on the dash. Now I know you can barely see anything, but it is what it is. We have our engine temperature here, our fuel level here. We have our ABS indicator showing us how the ABS is set up currently, either full ABS, only front ABS, or no ABS. We have our neutral light, our headlights, our rev counter, RPM gauge, our speed in digital, and our odometer. And that's about it for the dashboard. A pretty minimalistic dashboard, but once again, this is a Scrambler motorcycle. This is something just for the city. All right, so not much details to go into, but Once again, it's a naked motorcycle, a scrambler style. There's not much to talk about it. It's basically just a frame, an engine, and two wheels. But who is this bike for? Well, in my opinion, this is kind of a city bike because it's so small, the seat is so low, the engine is powerful, but it's not crazy powerful. I mean, 43 horsepower is not much, but we'll get that into it in the riding portion of the video. What I do like is the big 18-liter fuel tank, which gives you ample range, so you don't have to fuel up every couple of days if you ride just in the city, and it gives you the opportunity to take it out of the city and have very decent range. I think you can get over 400 kilometers on just one tank. And also the low seat height. If maybe you're a shorter rider, shorter man, shorter woman, this would be an excellent motorcycle because it's light, it's less than 200 kilograms, wet and ready to ride, and it's extremely low. As you can see, I am 175 centimeters tall, and I can very easily flat foot this motorcycle, even having a bend in my knee. So I'm very comfortable on it. It's very low. The handlebars, on the other hand, are pretty high. So I have a very nice upright riding position. I can feel the ADV bike frame coming out because this is a pretty much an ADV riding position. But let's take around the yard a couple of times and see exactly what this bike is all about. Come on. Alrighty. So, riding the Rockstar. Does it feel like a Rockstar? Well, kinda. If you look back at my Maverick video, I talked about the Maverick having two rider modes for the engine. You had a safe mode and a sport mode. Now, what I said about the Maverick is that in sport mode the engine seemed a little bit twitchy because I wasn't used to the throttle response, and it does have very good throttle response in the sport mode. Now the Rockstar doesn't have riding modes. It's permanently fixed in sport mode, and that can be a good thing and a bad thing. First thing, if you're not used to something of the magnitude of 500 cc's, then it will feel extremely twitchy to you, the throttle. I mean, see, you can very easily get it to do dumb shit. But if you're used to it, you will really love the response. You're gonna really love the response of the engine because it is very responsive. Now, this bike does not have traction control. It does have ABS, but no traction control, so you have to be very wary of that because the engine will pull. I mean, 40 newton meters of torque on something less than 200 kilograms is nothing to sneeze at. This thing will get up and go very quickly, and if you're not careful, and like here, you may have a little bit of gravel. Okay, now it hooked up, but it can easily break traction on you. And one more thing, this thing will pop a wheelie like nobody's business. Because it's so torquey and so responsive, this thing will pop a wheelie like it's nobody's business. But I do enjoy the engine. It's very smooth. This is a carbon copy of Honda's 500cc engine that you can find in the Rebel 500, in, I don't know, the CB500X, the CB500R. It's the same engine. They basically made a carbon copy of the engine, and it feels as smooth as the Honda engine and just as powerful as the Honda engine. And that's actually quite a good thing. So you have an engine design that's known and loved by a lot of people in a very, very light frame, a very light motorcycle, with the reliability to back it up, and the power. Come on, yeehaw! Once it gets above 4,000 RPM, this thing starts to pull hard. And like I said, you have to be careful because it's very easy to get the front wheel off the ground. Just one misplaced clutch dump and you're doing dank nooners all day. An experienced rider would have so much fun with this around small city streets or maybe a tight twisty road, because it's so easy, it's so flickable, easy to get on the pegs also. That's the interesting part. Again, this being based on an adventure motorcycle, I feel like I'm riding a naked adventure bike. I have the riding position of an adventure bike and I can very easily get up on the pegs and ride it standing, which is pretty weird for a Scrambler style motorcycle. Now, compared to the Maverick, which gives me a feeling like it's very big up front because of the massive raised fuel tank, this doesn't give me that. This feels like a small, light, nimble motorcycle. I don't know how to explain it. I feel cozy on it. You get me? It feels cozy. The Maverick feels huge up front because you sit so low and have that big tank up front and the windscreen. It feels big. This feels cozy. I have the tank right here, the handlebars here, nothing up front, and it feels pretty. I just love the pickup. It feels cozy, like I've said, and it's very easy to maneuver. I mean, so easy to maneuver. You just have to feather the clutch a little bit. But if you're in a tight place in the city, so easy to maneuver. And if you're used to the clutch, I haven't ridden this bike all that long. If you're used to the clutch, it's so easy to maneuver. What you do have to be careful is, if you dump the clutch, oh, that was 60. Yep, this thing picks up just like that. It picks up just like that. But what I do like is it does have the handling to back it up. And it also has the grip and the brakes and the suspension, because this was all taken from companies that know what they're doing, from premium companies. And it shows, it feels, the bike feels confidence inspiring. The bike feels, it just feels awesome. Let the ABS do its job and we quickly shave off all the speed that we so quickly got. It's an awesome piece of machinery. And again, less than 6,000 euros on the road. Less than 6. What else can you buy for that money? I don't feel any engine heat. Even though my leg is right next to the clutch, it doesn't feel bad. I don't feel too much heat radiating from the engine. It's a comfortable riding position. You can easily get up on the pegs. Hell, you can ride it standing all day long if you want to. I mean, seriously. This bike is so easy to ride standing because it's so light. This would make, if you want to build a small Scrambler to really take on proper adventure trips, this would be such a great option, because it's such a good platform. It is an ADV bike after all, but without all of the caveats of an ADV bike. It's a lot smaller, it's a lot lighter, it's a lot nimbler. And yet you still have the switchable ABS. You still have the suspension. Okay, it's not adjustable, but honestly, if you want to, you can take the forks and the rear shock from the Maverick and probably fit them on this one if you really wanted adjustable suspension. From where I'm sitting, the suspension is perfectly fine. It really is perfectly fine. And if we want to have some fun, you know, let's see how it handles a couple of proper bumps. We do have a skid plate. It's not a huge skid plate, but it is there. So the engine and the exhaust is protected. Let's get it down to first gear. Let's see, how does it do? Very controllable, very maneuverable. The bumps don't unsettle it. Yep. You can actually turn this into a pretty good off-road machine. if you get used to the throttle, because on the off-road, not being able to put it in safe mode, that might hinder you. But again, if you don't have the money for a Maverick, I mean, just buy this one and slowly build it out to be an adventure bike. And until you finish transforming it into an adventure bike, you will have a pretty awesome motorcycle to ride. So fun and so easy. Yeah, come on. Woo! Well, that kind of has been it for this episode, guys. This has been the Daytona Rockstar 500. A pretty cheap motorcycle, 500 cc's parallel twin, with all the bells and whistles of modern, much more expensive motorcycles. Thank you all so much for watching, for liking the videos, for subscribing, and if you want to support the channel, please consider becoming a member of the channel. And until next time, everyone, take care out there and ride safe. Goodbye.